You are now rocking with that dude Pascal.
What's up? There's been a lot of new information floating around about Epstein's list, the files, if they exist, if they don't exist. And let's be real, they do exist. Let's completely be real, okay? I think we are all on the same page in regards to that, right? J.D. Vance, from what we're understanding, is having a dinner with some of the powers that be, from the likes of Kash Patel to Pam Bondi to Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche, the guy who actually had the 9-hour interview with Ghislaine Maxwell over the course of 2 days. They're supposed to be having a conversation, a dinner, to talk about whether or not they're going to expose the transcripts to the public. The transcripts of the interview that Todd Blanche had with Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, let me remind you really quick, Todd Blanche is Trump's former lawyer, unless he's still his lawyer. I don't know. But nonetheless, that is just a piece of information I think is very important. But nonetheless, we are also finding out that they're just doing a lot of choreography right now. Okay, they're showing us that they're doing everything they can to get the word out here when they should have just ripped the Band-Aid off and let all the files out when they were supposed to be out, right? Instead of giving us this whole dance, okay, this really messed up cover-up dance that we've been watching in real time, all right? It's been really, really bad. But nonetheless, aside from that information, which is very interesting, we are now hearing from one of Epstein's accusers. Okay, Gloria Allred actually had a press conference breaking things down and basically saying, release the files. What's slowing everything down? Standing next to her client, who happens to be an alleged victim of Epstein, she's sitting there in solidarity with her client, basically saying, speak now, get it out here and be done with it. And of course, they have some feelings or some thoughts about how they feel about Ghislaine Maxwell getting this cushy new spot, cushy new prison. Apparently, Ghislaine Maxwell is also getting some really nice treatment, okay, over there. She's getting treated nicely, so much that other inmates are complaining about how cushy her new posh lifestyle in Club Fed is going, right? They've been feeling some type of way about how she's being treated, and they think it's unfair. Now, again, I think that's very interesting, and I feel like the timing is just too on the nose. It is too suspicious, but then again, we live in some wild times. I don't know, guys. I think it's extremely obvious that there's something going on and that Ghislaine got some sort of hookup. But nonetheless, they went on to News Nation. Jesse Weber had some things, had a conversation with them. And the accuser, okay, her name is Alicia Arden, had some things to say about this whole situation with Ghislaine and Jeffrey Epstein. Let's take a listen to this, guys.
Important for the public to see the files. As someone who went through this, not a talking head, as somebody who went through this, why is it important for everyone to see the files?
Well, to know the truth, and the truth should come out. And it's important for me as a victim. I think I have a right to see them. And the other victims, they have a right to see them. And I don't really feel that it should be hidden from us. We all have a right to see that, I feel. Why should it be hidden? And they talk about releasing it, and then they never do. And that's hard on me to keep hearing that. I'm sure the other victims would agree with me, that they just keep talking about it and then nothing happens.
Well, Gloria, is there someone that you know that is in these files that needs to be exposed? And if so, who are they? Why do we have to wait for the files?
I think let's let the files speak for themselves. But may I also say the grand jury transcript is apparently of law enforcement officers who testified at the grand jury, not of victims. Having said that, we want all the files to be released. And as to anything else in the files that is not a grand jury transcript, we want that to be released. And for the most part, that is not going to need to be decided by the court as the grand jury transcripts have to, because generally grand jury transcripts are secret and will not be released. But the rest of it is within the power of the administration to release them, subject to certain, privacy requirements. So let's see what they have. And of course, all the victims' names need to be redacted, or anything that would identify them, right, even though their name is not used, should be redacted to protect them. And also, in the release of the files, definitely any child pornography, and there are videos, right, I believe, of children being sexually abused. Yeah. These are some of the survivors. Those should not be released either.
Now, I agree 110% with what Allred is saying here. Obviously, yeah, those pieces should be redacted without a shadow of a doubt. But the question I have, though, is I'm wondering what Alicia Arden went through. I'm sure she's already spoken about this. Of course, this is the first time I'm hearing of her name personally. Of course, I'm going to look into it and see if there's anything else out there. But I am kind of curious as to, is it only just Jeffrey Epstein that she experienced these terrible things that she went through, or were there other names? And I can understand her wanting to see the list or wanting to see the files to see if any of her other, if the other monsters are on the list or in those files, if there's more than just Jeffrey Epstein, because there are other women that are saying that they were constantly attacked by multiple men, and it wasn't just Jeffrey Epstein. So it is something that I am kind of curious about as well. Again, I get it. They're going, release the files, redact certain names, please and thank you, but release these doggone files. And I think the thing is that we've all been waiting for that, right? Haven't we all been waiting for that doggone thing to just be released? I mean, be done with it and call it a day, right? But, the choreography, guys, the choreography that they're doing right now is just ridiculous.
Alicia, this is a very interesting time where Ghislaine Maxwell is talking to the government. She has been moved to a low security camp. There are conversations about whether or not her sentence could be commuted, whether or not she could get a pardon, whether or not she'll get some sort of protection to provide information. How do you feel about all that?
Well, I think that she should be moved back to the facility where she was, and that's where she's serving her time. Why should she be moved to a lower facility with not as much protection? And is it more freedom there? No, she should be moved back to the one that she was at and serve the 20 years there. She was convicted of sex trafficking of children. So why shouldn't she be there? And
I agree 110%. I'm going to let her finish, but I agree 110%. Why give this woman who is accused and was convicted of doing the most disgusting stuff, the most vile, deplorable things, why give her the special treatment, right? Why give her the caviar and champagne dreams of treatments when it comes to the prison and where she's spending her time at right now? The damn club fed, they're calling it now. The damn summer camp. Explain that to me.
And it's also interesting. I've always wondered, why is she the only one currently in prison?
Thank you.
And who are these other alleged pedophiles? And should they be eventually serving their time if they allegedly were doing something wrong?
I think sorry, Gloria, I'll give you the final word. We got about 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very unusual for someone who is convicted of sex trafficking, as she was, to be moved to that low minimum security camp where she is.
True.
And usually it requires a waiver. We don't know of any such waiver. And so we'd have to find out more about that. And also, is it more than a coincidence that she gave that 9-hour interview session with the Deputy Attorney General, Todd Blanche, in which she ultimately said that nothing bad about Trump, essentially, and then she gets moved? Is that a benefit?
I'll tell you, there are a lot of questions about her credibility, including the fact that she was brought up on perjury charges. The timing is very interesting. Listen.
I agree. The timing is very, very suspicious. Period, point blank. And the thing is you can't You can't change my mind on that. And I think you can't change a lot of people's minds about the timing here, because the timing is everything. The timing says everything right now. She is supposed to be back in Tallahassee in that crappy prison because of doing those unbelievable, disgusting crimes. Why is she getting treated like she did some white collar crime? She did not. It still just doesn't make any sense to me. And the fact that you have J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, having a dinner with the likes of Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche right now, just to see whether or not they're going to release the transcripts and how they're going to handle releasing the files, says a lot to me, guys. I'm sorry. Something's really rotten here. Something really is wrong, and it needs to be figured out as soon as possible. The choreography, this dance is too long. It's taking way too long. And you see other victims now starting to speak out. And the fact that they've been delaying this whole situation, giving this woman the special treatment, moving her from one crappy prison to another really nice prison, is just a spit in the face to all of these survivors and victims of the Epstein, and of this Lolita Express in the Epstein Island, right? This is disgusting, and this is wrong, and they need to figure this out and fix it immediately. It's been weeks, y'all. Let me remind you, it's been weeks, and they have still not shown not one stitch, not one piece of paper, nothing. We have seen nothing so far. That is ridiculous. They said that even so, they said they were going to show the rest of the footage of the video of him in his cell, right? Of the day that they found him gone, right? Because there's still a few minutes missing, right? They said they were going to give that out. Where is it then? That was weeks ago, guys. Weeks ago. Something's got to change immediately, because this choreography is just, it's bad. It's a really bad look. Anyway, guys, comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are, okay? Hit that like button down below. Crush that subscribe button. We'll talk here soon. It just angers me, man. You know what I'm saying? They need to get this figured out as soon as possible, because this is just a bad look for the Trump administration, and this is not how we're supposed to be looking at our administration. This is not how other countries should be looking at America either. It's a bad look. It needs to get figured out. Anyway, it's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.
Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild.